Ambition, having won last year so well. But I understand his logic. It's a young, exciting horse, and maybe that was in his mindset, but I think if Secret Ambition wins, none of us will be surprised.
The one thing with Secret Ambition too, he ran a pretty good race in the Saudi Cup around the route of ground. I know it was 1,800 meters, but Bupat said after the race he scoped him, and he did scope with mucus as in Switzerland, you know, maybe from the ship and everything else. So if he doesn't have that mucus, they've cleared that up, they've had enough time to clear it up, that'll help him stay out a little bit longer.
But also, he ran a big race in Saudi. Maybe in Tigers thought you've got a younger, fresher horse. You know, Al Nafadi's had a bigger break, and that could have led him that way. Because we've said a number of times, trying to come back to another big race 3-4 weeks out is not easy.
Well, I think that's a good point. I mean, Al Nafad, they decided last time, they got the rating of 111 after the run against Hot Rod Charlie. They were targeting this meeting. We'll keep him fresh, we'll go for the World Cup. Then they said we'd rather win a race than place in the World Cup. Hence Remorse goes to the World Cup. This horse comes here. Secret Ambition was aimed at the Saudi Cup. Yeah. So it's not that this is an afterthought by any means, but that was his big aim, and I agree with you, Justin. I thought he ran a huge race. He turned for home looking the winner. So an intriguing edition of our Group 2 Godolphin Miles, sponsored by Nikhil. Only a couple more to load, so let's head upstairs to Alistair Cohen.
Close to $1 million. Icon joins the lineup. Great Scott. Secret Ambition. Time for the Godolphin Mile. Gates fly, and they're racing in full flat. Missed the start, 2 lanes slow. It's a mad scramble in the early stages. Bathrat Leon broke out well. Storm Damage, though, goes off to the head of affairs. Bathrat Leon needed a bit of riding, though, to go into the lead. Then Desert Wisdom, who races away in third. Mubaka is handy enough, and then comes Banker at their outside. After them, Snapper Sinclair, racing about 4 lanes adrift. Great Scott in the red jacket, races exposed at the outside of runners with 2s in the black and beige. Sully's Thunder midfield, Pogo midfield. Alma Food just being nurdled back onto the bridle. The gold colours against the inside rail. Golden Goal keeps him company. Algiers is on the improve. A couple of lengths away to Secret Ambition, who's totally out of his zone. He's 3/4 of the way back. He's about 9 lengths adrift. Then comes the slow starting full flat, and Dubai Icon is at the end of the field, and it's Bathrat Leon in the lead by 1 length. Shows the way of a Storm Damage, who goes well enough in second. Then comes Desert Wisdom sharing third with Bankit. Bankit at the outside is about 2 lengths off the leader. Sully's Thunder in the yellow and blue colours. Mubaka's next best. Great Scott 2s at the outside. Algiers been asked for everything. Golden Goal still got about 8 lengths to make up. 3 away to Secret Ambition. Then comes Dubai Icon, but they straighten up, and in front is Bathrat Leon. Gave a lovely kick at the top of the straight. Storm Damage. Then comes Desert Wisdom in the 2 shades of green. Bathrat Leon a 2-length leader. Desert Wisdom wearing down Bathrat Leon. Bathrat Leon still the leader. Holds sway, holds the advantage, and a front-running demolition from Bathrat Leon. Second goes to Desert Wisdom. Third to Storm Damage. Sully's Thunder, Mubaka, they were ahead of Bankers. Further back, Great Scott, Algiers, some didn't get into the race. Dubai Icon, Snapper Sinclair, 2s and Secret Ambition, they were ahead of Golden Goal. After them, we had the likes of Full Flat, Pogo, and Elna Food was simply off colour.
Wow, Japan win the Godolphin Mile for just the 2nd time, following on from Utopia in 2006. His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, of course the ruler of Dubai, Vice President, Prime Minister of the UAE, has arrived here at Meydan Racecourse. Fantastic to have him with us, and no doubt we will see him come all the way through the Royal Majlis, the Royal entrance into the Royal Box. He's just crossing the bridge at the moment. Bathrat Leon, I think we all underrated him a little bit.
Well, I mean, the Japanese horses, wherever they've gone this year, be it the Breeders' Cup, Saudi, they've run huge races, but horse had only ever run on dirt once, and I don't think it even placed in that race. So that's a massive run.
They went the first half in 45-3, the first 3 quarters in 109-3. The only time they ever went faster than that in the Godolphin Mile was North America Heavy Metal Sharp Azteca.
When they killed each other.
this horse made the lead and nobody came and got him, but he ran fast fractions. It's his absolutely remarkable performance because nobody can get to him, and they were trying.
And you've got to give credit to Desert Wisdom. I mean, we kind of almost said, oh, that was a big run because he got lucky on Super Saturday, but he's backed it up, and that's a huge run. But I'm shocked. I wouldn't have tipped that horse.
I'm not as shocked because I've been looking at the horse all week. He goes around in the mornings with Panther Lassa, and one of them is super popular because if you tweet a picture or video, it goes crazy, and I can't work out which one it is. I assumed it was Panther Lassa. They've been training together. That moves that horse up in estimations later on in the Dubai Turf. But I suppose the surprising thing, only his second run on dirt, and his form figures coming into this: 15th of 17, 15th of 16, 12th of 17, 13th of 16, and 9th of 16.
I didn't think he'd belong. I really didn't, but he makes me eat my words here. I mean, not only was he a winner, he was the easiest of winners. And the other Japanese horse, Solstice Thunder, runs fourth. So, I mean, Japan just continues its world dominance in horse racing.
And this was one of the races we thought they wouldn't win, Justin.
Yeah, I mean, I've said the Japan horses are running superb, but there's no way I didn't even think this horse on its recent form should have been in the race. So, you know, Japan obviously know what they're doing.
Well, he was rated 108, which is, you know, this horse is in the World Cup. Rated that. I say he was a Group 2 winner at Nakayama of the
I think
New
the
Zealand
one thing
Trophy.
you can say, though, from the local perspective is horses like, I mean, that's maybe the first time Al Nafud's had real kickback.
He was eased in the end.
Yeah,
he never went a yard.
He didn't get into it. I think he resented the kickback quite early because he didn't get out. Secret Ambition, you were mentioning what a hard race he had in Saudi.
I think he was shuffled back early.
Yeah, he just didn't get into it. Mubaka looked like he was and then didn't really get into it. But the front two have huge races, and in all fairness, you've got, you know, two horses in the top three really don't have any dirt form whatsoever. So when we're sitting here saying you've got turf horses running in the race, it's proven it can happen.
Yeah, thrilled for the connections of Desert Wisdom. Ahmed Al-Shamali has proven this season and last season he really can train race horses, and that's a huge achievement for him to finish second. And Storm Damage, well, you know, maybe it's an omen for later on in real world. That was a good run.
I mean, they're certainly hoping so, right? I mean, this is a horse with a promising future, and it's going to be interesting to see what Said-bin Suror elects to do with Storm Damage as things go on. Does he try and stretch him out maybe next year and look like races like the World Cup, or maybe take him back to England and have an English campaign with him?
Well, Pat Cosgrove rode him when he won a couple of starts ago, a listed race. He got off and said, oh, you won't want any further than a mile. Storm Damage, but maybe he's a horse that Said really targets the Godolphin Mile with next year. Not a great race for Bhupat Seema. He'll be hoping for better in the UAE Derby. Nothing went the way of his runners at all. We can finally now have a look back at a replay of the race. And coming for home, Chad, I said to you, oh, this is going to win. And you said, no, it's not good enough. That changed pretty quickly.
I mean, I'm shocked at the ease that he did, the fractions that he set. I mean, he was a half length off the early fractions. I mean, and then when he set it down and he never looked back. I really thought he was just in it purely as a front runner to set it up for Solstice Thunder, and maybe he was, but he didn't get the message, and certainly his rider Ryushi Saki didn't as well.
Yoshito Yagi has proven so many times how good he is at travelling these horses. His second win in Dubai, and I couldn't be more happy for Ryusei Sakai, the jockey, because he's a young man who came over here last year. He was in Saudi. He rode a horse called Justin in Saudi, and then he was here to ride that horse. And while he was here, he thought, I'm going to embrace it. He went out, he had 25 rides. He rode at Al Ain, he rode at Sharjah, he rode at Abu Dhabi. He went and based himself. He used to come here in the morning and ride Justin at 5 o'clock. Then he'd go to Al Quaz, ride out for Said-bin Suror, and then he'd try and ride in the afternoons as well. Never managed to have a win, had a second. Finally gets a win on the biggest night of all. It's brilliant.
And not just him, but the rest of the connections as well. I mean, trainer Yoshida Yahagi, of course, famously trained Contrail, that won the Japanese Triple Crown. He trained Rayo Steele, who won the 2016 Dubai Turf, and he shocked America when he won 2 Breeders' Cup races last year with Love's Only You and Mach Lorraine. So he knows how to prepare his horses for the big day, and that's so important. He's won in Dubai before, and he thought this horse deserved the shot, and he was rewarded today.
Yeah, getting a fairly big cheer from a section of the crowd, probably the Japanese section of the crowd. A bit of a stunned silence when he crossed the line in front. This son of Kizuna. And yeah, Mr. Yahagi really is the man. He's very cool as well. He loves his travelling. This horse has earned himself a little stud career. Well, he already had a stud career, didn't he, as a Group 2 winner. And what does this tell us about the track, do we think, Justin? Bearing in mind he's won from 1 and he dominated.
Well, we thought he'd go forward, but it does look, I mean, the 2 dirt races so far have been the horses that have gone forward, they haven't been caught. But we do think that when the heat's on it, so as it cools down, we've got a couple of turf races coming up now. The sprints, I think, will be completely different. I think they're just going to go hell for leather. But I think early doors, we've called it right, that if you get towards the front, you've got a huge chance.
Well, I think we've also seen today how difficult it is to get to the front.
Yeah, I mean, we were all sitting here going, well, Helmford, Secret Ambition, they're going to go forward. You know, RB Rich Like Me, they're going to go forward. It's not proven to be the case.
You know, it's one of those things where we always used to joke, you don't know speed until you've seen American speed. We always talk about that for the Golden Shaheen. Well, with Matera Sky in years past...
Well, just hold that thought. We're going to hear from our winning jockey.
Had Ryuse had a fantastic ride there. It was gate to first. Congratulations, Ryuse. Just take us through the race. You know, you broke on top and kept going.
Good tactics. Yeah. So he jumps well and relaxed all the way. And he's great response and nice improve.
He liked the dirt out there. It was a different kind of dirt than Japan.
Yeah, he likes this dirt.
Yeah. It's a little bit tighter.
Yes.
And was it the plan to always be forward with him?
Just one thing. Go front. This is it. Yes. Yahagi's tactics. Yes.
Yahagi has had a huge year internationally. Is he one of the best trainers in the world?
Yes, I think so. Yes.
Well, congratulations. Let us get your signature real fast.
Congratulations to Ryuse Sakai, first winner here in Dubai at the 25th attempt in one of our biggest races, and it's been a night of surprises really so far. One for Qatar, one for Japan. It's also international, and we can take a look at how it unfolded. And you're drawn in 1, you win the start. That does put you in a good position, but I was surprised to see them so strung out so early on.
Yeah, there was actually surprising that the horses that you expected to have pace didn't show it at all. And I mean, literally within 200 metres, you've got 20-30 metres between the first and last. You just wouldn't have expected it. And it's not like they missed the break, it's just they didn't go very fast forward. It's a very strange race in that sense.
And the one horse who did miss the break, I mean, he was up against it anyway. Full Flat did break a few strides back. You see him there in last, already kind of being scrubbed upon a little bit there.
Yeah, Full Flat was returning after a monster layoff to run in this race, 626 days. It was slightly strange campaigning, however you look at it.
But right here, even Bankett's got himself in the race, but it doesn't never really move forward. I think Doug's horses are all right there. Two's is starting to kind of rind up a little bit, but nothing really is able to quicken. And maybe the rail itself is good too, because the first race we saw first class on the rail, and now we see this one as well, or right off the rail.
Well, we've said that for years here. The rail and the front running gives you a huge advantage sometimes, and it does seem to be playing that way. So it is a case of getting out and getting across. You're going to have a big chance.
Provided you don't collide with the rail, as we learned in our first race. But some notable disappointments in here, and luckily Tiger Shade did look after the favourite Alnaford, who you could see earlier on he was really having to ride him. For whatever reason, that horse just hasn't performed today.
Just not turned up.
Yeah.
I mean, you never know with horses. We always say they're not machines, and you know, they'll scope him, he might scope dirty, there might be an issue with him. He might just not have liked the kickback straight away. But it was a surprisingly poor run from most of the locals, to be fair. The one we kind of written off, Desert Wisdom, rode probably the best, well, they did ride the best race of all of them. But yeah, I think the local horses there will be a little bit disappointed with their performances.
Yeah, some consolation, I suppose, for Adjudivari following the disaster in the first, that Desert Wisdom ran such a great race here. And I did say to him in that interview you saw earlier on in the show, is it just because he got the rail last time? And he said, no, he's a good horse. He's a strong travelling horse. He responds when you ask him. But he's got a nice attitude, the winner. He really stretches his neck out nicely.
The Japanese horses we keep going back to, they're really top of the game at the moment, aren't they?
And just wait till the speed they see when Mind Your Biscuits 2-year-olds start running later on this year.
First upset on Dubai World Cup nights 2022. I mean, last year the Japanese were second in 4 races. They brought their strongest ever contingent numerically this year. It would have been very disappointing for them if they emerged winnerless, and they've got much better fancied horses than these to come later on.
No, I think they have to be very, very excited about how the day started for them. And as you move on, as the rest of the night, as Christophe Lemaire gets some of his better mounts as well, I mean, it's just the sky is the limit for the Japanese horses on tonight. It might be a Japanese dominated night, I hate to say.
It could well be a Japanese dominated night.
I think if the Japanese win race 3, which could happen, you know, I mean, he won superbly over in Saudi, and if that was to happen, then you're pretty much going to just go to the bookies and back Japanese horses for the rest of the night.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they will. It's interesting pedigree, Bathrat Leon. He is the first foal of a mare called Bathrat Amal, who was actually rated 62. So she wasn't any great shakes, but she was a half-sister to the Canadian Group 1 winner, Serious Attitude, who was trained in the UK by Ray Guest, if memory serves. So quite a nice pedigree, but nothing that really jumps out at you. And certainly not really a dirt pedigree. Kazuna, the sire, had his first 2 year-olds in 2019, was the winner of the Japanese Derby and the Prix Niel, one of the Art Crets. At this point, this is where we knew, well, I think we knew already, Alneford not going to be winning this year, and I thought Storm Damage was the only real danger to Bathrat Leon at this point.
I mean, you see Muthakar a little bit, making a little bit of a run, but they're all just kind of running in place. I mean, 2's out there on the outside, but nobody's gaining any bit of ground at all on the winner. The winner's just digging in, and like you said, stretching his little neck out and just keep finding more and more as every stride goes on. Nobody gained on him the entire length of the stretch. He started in front by a length and a half. He ended in front by a length and a half.
Pretty much every horse stayed where they were turning in. Like, I was watching Mubacker, obviously, but he seemed to go forward, then just stayed where he was. Probably the only one that finished with any better than his position was Desert Wisdom.
Yeah, absolutely. So much credit goes to Desert Wisdom. They could have been tempted as well with him once he got the 111 rating. They could easily have gone, heck, we'll go for the Dubai World Cup, because plenty of people have been tempted by $12 million in the past, but they said, no, he's a miler, we're sticking in this, and it's worked out really nicely for them with that wonderful check. So congratulations to the connections of that horse, faring the best of our strong local contingent in second.
And I think the interesting thing, too, is we talk about how this contingency is not afraid to travel. We talk about how the Japanese, if they're 1-2 in the UAE Derby later, are going to try and move forward to the Kentucky Derby. Is this a horse that maybe we see joins one of those horses in America and looks at a race like the Met Mile on Belmont Stakes undercard?
Could happen. Yeah, there's not too many top-tier dirt races in Japan. They've got the February Stakes, they've got the Japan Cup Dirt, now called the Champions Cup. They're both over further than this, so it'll be interesting to see exactly what path they do target for our Godolphin Mile winner, Bathrat Leon. This is Mr. Omar Corey, the Chief Assets and Hospitality Officer for Nikhil, doing the honours for our Godolphin Mile presentation, and the winning owners are Hiru Raceco Limited. It's their first ever runner here in the UAE, so congratulations to them. Nikhil been big supporters of racing here at Meydan this season, sponsoring a couple of carnival and local meetings as well, so we thank them. There is Shito Yahagi, rarely seen without a hat. He has had an unbelievable last couple of years. Just his second win in Dubai, as we mentioned. He's also very good with the media, speaks very good English, and is just one of the best trainers in the world, so privileged to have him here. And that young man, Ryusei Sakai, big congratulations to him. He worked so hard when he was here last year, and he just so unlucky not to get a win. He desperately wanted one here, but I think he would have been pretty happy to have saved it until now, so congratulations to him. Everybody back up for a photo. First of our thoroughbred races. The Godolphin Mile is in the books for 2022. Will we be seeing more Japanese connections on that podium later on? I think we might well do. So Justin, you're going to be leaving us in a second, so we'll get your thoughts on the Dubai Gold Cup. Manobo first, the rest nowhere?
Well, I've been very strong on Manobo, but I said 2 days ago Stay Foolish was the each-way play, and I'm feeling that's quite a strong call now. I mean, I think I am. I was quite confident last night when I said I thought it would be Manobo, Stay Foolish, and I had Rodrigo Diaz to finish third. But that was just confidence late last night. That was my call then, and I'm going to stick with it now.
A lot of people like Rodrigo Rodrigo Diaz. I think mainly on sort of the David Simcock training methods. We know he always has a lot to work on, and the horse should improve. It's a horse owned by Australian connections and are likely going to be targeting big races over there later in the season. Charlie Appleby, of course, trains Manobo. And he's got 5 strong chances on the card, Chad. This is the one, though, that if he doesn't go in, they're going to be